Today's guest is someone I've long admired for her refined eye, calm presence, and beautifully thoughtful approach to wedding design. Teresa Perdigão is the founder of Something Borrowed Events, one of Portugal's most respected wedding planning studios, known for creating celebrations that feel elegant, intentional, and deeply personal. Teresa has a wonderful way of balancing design with emotion, structure, and creativity, and guiding couples through the planning process with clarity and care. I'm so excited to talk with her about weddings today, about the details that matter, and what truly makes a celebration unforgettable. So Teresa, welcome to Beyond the Cake.
Thank you. I'm already so nervous just for this introduction.
Don't be nervous. I love working with you. You know that. So this is just kind of like an extended conversation with.
Yep. I like the back office better.
just for the two of us, but hopefully there's other people listening. Good. So I guess I want to start at the beginning and ask you, like, what inspired you to start Something Borrowed, and how did you get into it? What's your story behind how you got into wedding planning?
Okay, so I studied communication, but I was always leaning more towards the institutional part of communication, marketing, consumer behavior. And I felt at some point that it wasn't exactly, I was not the creative type to work at an advertising agency or anything like that. But I had a good dose of OCD that my friends make fun of. I love planning, Excel sheets, all those details. And I did want to work with people. That was one thing that I was really sure. So when it came down to planning events, I was really, really sure that I didn't want anything corporate. I wanted something more up close and personal. So yes, I think I still went to a few interviews in other companies. And I remember calling my parents one day and saying, look, I'm going to open my own company because I'm not finding the right fit for what I'm looking to do. And that was it. It was a bit of a crazy start.
Amazing. How many years ago?
16.
Oh my goodness.
So I normally joke that it started off as trial and error, a lot of error and a lot of trial. And I think we finally got it right a while Absolutely. Back. But yes, it's been an adventure.
I think that's how we all grow, right?
Yep.
and I feel like you do have a specific style. I wanted to ask you, like, if you had to sum it up in just a very few words, how would you describe your style for your events?
Okay. We aim for very tailor-made events. So I can easily say that our style is basically our couple style. But what I feel is that we've been very aligned. So I normally joke that I would love to have one of those beautiful Instagram pages full of amazing, incredible florals. But to be honest, when it comes down to deciding on where to spend and advising our couples, I'm probably always going to advise good food and good entertainment more than the rest of the decor itself. So I feel that we end up having a very, I'm not going to say minimalist style. I think we try to adjust to both the couple and the venue. But definitely we end up not focusing as much on the decor as we focus on the guest experience, the couple's experience. And I think a big part of that is definitely the food and the entertainment. So, yeah.
So that kind of leads into my next question, which is like, what do you listen for when you first meet a couple? I guess if they're all over the place, do you just kind of make that suggestion, or do you somehow that always seems to be a constant theme that's repeated when they start talking to you?
I think it's a constant theme. Fortunately, when they talk to us, I try to ask them a lot of questions. So I try to first make them feel really comfortable and then ask them questions that are not the normal questions you would ask. So I don't exactly ask them about how they met or all of those details. I think in the initial questionnaire that I send my couples, I always have facts. And you'd be amazed at the fun facts that couples share, and they're actually quite funny. So you start getting an idea of the mood they're in. Some couples share something really basic, so you know that they're going to be harder to figure out. But I think mostly we try to understand what's keeping them up at night when they start planning a wedding and when they reach out to us, and what are the things that they know for sure they can't go without on the wedding day. Because this helps us draft a little bit of who they are, what they're looking for, what their main worries are. And I think it helps us build an image of what we're going to work towards, where we're going to focus our efforts along the planning.
So, and I know you have different levels of planning that you do, but I guess at every level, part of your responsibility is to kind of quell the stress and that overwhelming feeling that people have when they're planning a wedding at whatever stage they come to you. So how do you approach that? I mean, I know you said you ask a lot of questions, but how do you kind of help them to get through that? Because it is overwhelming and it's stressful.
It is. It is, and I think these days we have a lot of information online, and not all of it is very useful. And especially when you're in the beginning stages, it can be, like you said, very overwhelming. There's this expression that I love in management, which is, how do you eat an elephant? And you eat it one bite at a time. So it's basically what I do with our couples. So we try to break down the planning timeline to make sure that they're focusing on the things they need to focus at each time. So we never start with deciding who the 10 vendors are going to be. We never start with deciding what all the teams are going to be. So the first step we always take is to try to outline a little bit of the timeline, because if they tell me it's a morning wedding or an evening wedding, things are going to be different than the things we're going to suggest. But then basically we break down what we're going to be working on at each point. So we don't want our couples to be working on, like I was telling you, 6 vendors at a time,
Right.
and analyzing quotes that are completely different things. And when you start breaking it down into planning stages, by the time you get to a certain vendor, you will have already made choices that will guide the choices you're going to make with that vendor. So I think it makes it easier along the way. So it's all about breaking it down in smaller bites so that it's not as crazy, and not asking all the questions at first. So we have different moments to decide on different things. And I think it helps a lot.
That's super interesting. I never thought about it like that, because you're right. Like if you know certain details, then other details just become apparent. Like you don't have to throw it all at them at once. Are there any like specific subtle details that take a wedding from like beautiful to extraordinary, in your opinion? Like you mentioned food a lot, and I think also food is very important, but are there some of these things that like maybe people don't talk about, but they're really special and important for you, for your couples to know about?
I think again, we try to do this in starting points so that it's easier. And one of the things we normally suggest our couples is that the wedding is an opportunity for them to, for the guests to leave knowing them a little bit better than they did when they came in. So I feel that if you focus on this part of, they should get to know you at your wedding, or they should get to understand things about you. I think this is going to make couples naturally adjust, imagine the tone of the stationery, or naturally adjust the mood of the decor, because they're going to say, okay, I'm not too classic. I want something more informal. Or, I have this couple, and they were telling me, we're witty, like we're always being sarcastic with things. So we're putting that in the stationery. We're making jokes on the menu. We're doing little tweaks on the napkins and the cocktail. So there are things we can do along the way to adjust. And I think that these are the things that guests are actually going to remember. So I normally joke, and again, going back to the food and the decor, no one's going to remember what they ate if the food was good, but they're going to know that it was good and it was plenty.
Right.
No one's going to know what the flowers look like. They're just nice. But then from the moment they sit at the table, the flowers are gone. They're focusing on the food, the conversation, the fun details in the stationery. So that's what people are going to go towards. So again, I think if you're looking to actually show off who you are, you're naturally going to adjust a few things to make sure that you're not just doing something out of Pinterest that you saw, or out of Instagram that you saw, that it's going to be completely not personal and just a copy of everything else. So yes, I think that's one of the things. I would definitely say the other thing is, if most of our couples are looking to craft an incredible experience for their guests. So I do think this also makes the wedding quite personal.
Sorry.
Don't worry. I do think this also helps making the wedding quite personal. So they don't get stuck choosing things that they think this person or that person is going to like. They need to choose things that they want and that they want to show their guests that they like. So I think it makes the event feel more like them in the end. So I think it makes it more beautiful than if we're just like again, like I was telling you, like if it was just a postcard from Pinterest.
Yeah. I think it's all about the personal experience and how their guests feel and how they want to be, perceived.
Yep.
So, so I also have a question about if any of what you've been saying, does it change, or what are the differences, or are there not many differences between like a local couple? I was gonna say a Portuguese couple, but it could be a foreign couple that lives here, a local couple versus a destination wedding couple. Are there different approaches, and are there different things that you do or say for those couples, or do you notice that it's kind of this, like it's the same pattern?
Well, there is a difference. I have to say that we normally work with one Portuguese couple a year living in Portugal, or one couple living in Portugal a year. That's normally our average.
Yeah, like me too.
So for us, it's even fun because sometimes we're booking video calls and we're like, why don't we just schedule a coffee break somewhere and just meet up in person because we're so used to this. However, I do feel that the couples that come to us, even if they're local, they're looking for something a little bit different. So I think most couples that come to us are looking for more than just a wedding day. So they're looking for more than just a ceremony, dinner, and dancing. They're looking for either the days before or the days after, or they're looking to bring everybody else to a remote place in Portugal or off the place where they normally live to make sure guests have a different experience. Because I think, especially in the past years, people are valuing a lot the time that they get to spend with friends and family. We don't get a lot of time in our regular lives, with work and all the schedules that we already have fully packed. And I feel that more and more, whereas when we started, I felt that people focused a lot on the wedding day and that was it, like a big day, big party. Everyone was tired in the end and that was it.
Yeah.
I feel that now couples are being more, I don't know, I think they're being more demanding, and that's good of everyone's time. Like if you're traveling all the way to Portugal, we want to be 2 days with you, 3 days with you. We want to be at a hotel where nobody else is so we can just sit by the pool and relax. So I think that would probably be the main difference. So destination wedding couples are normally looking for than just the day. They're looking for the whole experience. And for us, that's super fun. I think I would say that's definitely one of my favorite parts. Of course, it takes doing things a little bit different. And sorry. I was going to say it takes doing things a little bit different, like we were discussing in the beginning when we were deciding on how to divide the planning timelines. Because couples are not here as often, we try to focus the things that we feel are going to be more challenging to do from afar, like venue visits, walkarounds, food and wine tastings, seeing flowers and decor, and even getting to know the places that they're getting married at and the surroundings, like knowing little restaurants, knowing the taxi drivers, knowing all of that. Going to make them feel more like locals when they come back, which is actually really cool, and they can also advise their guests. So we try to do all of that when they're here so that everything else that we're doing from afar doesn't feel as complicated and doesn't feel as distant as these things.
Yeah, I think it's funny because I was just talking about this earlier today about how we're so lucky to be in a country where everybody wants to visit. So a lot of times with these destination weddings, they turn into not just like a wedding day or a wedding weekend, but even a wedding week, or it's like a whole experience. And in terms of, what we have to offer here, there's so much more for the couple to share with their closest family and friends. And I think when it turns then to the wedding planner, you're not just the wedding planner, you're like a full-on coordinator of this magical week or weekend or whatever it is. And so it's interesting. It must be interesting how your job has evolved from like a wedding day. And I take it even further, like from an American perspective, because weddings are really much shorter, like a wedding day, versus here, the wedding could go until 5 or 6 in the morning. Right. So to go from like a 5 or 6 hour to a 24 hour to a 72 hour coordination thing, it must be very hard. Is there one particular moment that you once or like in every event or just one time that you've said like, this is why I do what I do, this is why I love what I do?
I think again, the part that I love showing off Portugal. I'm very proud. And I think I was already very proud, and I've traveled a lot, and I always love this coming home part, but I really do love showing off what we do here. And I love it that there's so many things wrapped up in this really small country. So I feel that the things that really stick with me is when you actually while you see your couple and your guests enjoying, you see them actually, there's one tip we normally give couples, and we know not all of them take it, but the ones who do, we see such a huge difference in how they enjoy their day, that it makes it really fun for us. Which is leave a gap day, leave a free day between your welcome event and your wedding day if you have the chance. Like if everyone's traveling for the week, you don't have to do everything at once. And a lot of the times on that free day, we end up meeting the couple for some reason, or just going to the hotel and checking if everything is okay. And they're like, I cannot believe we got to sleep in, and I cannot believe we sat by the pool for 3 hours just having cocktails with our friends. And I think it's when you actually see people enjoying, or you see our couples really happy with a restaurant we suggested, with a vendor we suggested, with something that worked out really well. I think that really makes it fun for us. And then I have to say, I'm a sucker for good speeches, so they always get back to me in the end as well. It's a part of the day where we're more relaxed. Most of our work is done and we're just actually sitting there and enjoying. And again, with most of our couples being Canadian American, you guys rock at speeches. Trust me. The Portuguese still have a lot to learn. But yes, I think it makes us really happy to actually, see everything happening on the day and see how people are enjoying themselves. It's really fulfilling, definitely.
I think it must be really, I don't know, like when I think of the wedding planners that I work with, and obviously like you included, I think of you as like, you're like the big sister to the couple, right? Because it's not like, okay, this is our business, obviously, like you have to, it's your company, it's your business, you have to make a living, but like you also are recommending things as if it were your family and you want people to enjoy it. And so to see that joy and to see, and I love that idea of taking like a gap day in between, because that, you're right, like everybody's just like rushed and probably exhausted from travel, and they've come all this way. Like it's amazing to be able to like relax and enjoy it and be together, and I think that's super important, and I don't think everybody does that. So
and it's not the last day, so you're not even making that gap day on a day that people are going to say, okay, nothing's happening today, so I'm just going to take an earlier flight. Right. You're doing this in the middle of the event, so people have to be there. But then you're more relaxed in case your welcome event ran late because you guys were having fun and decided to go out for drinks. You're more relaxed because you don't have to wake up early the next day and still be hungover. And again, like you were saying, I think it makes a huge difference on how you actually enjoy your time, because I mean, you know this as well as I do. The weddings, they go by really, really fast, and especially for the couple, no matter how much you try to slow them down. So if you don't find moments in all of these 3 days that we normally plan that have a bit of a pause, I think chances are you're going to miss out on a lot of things. You're going to have that feeling when you go to a huge party where you were with 100 people, but you only spoke to like 10. And I think that's what we're trying to avoid, because even if there are people that you didn't see as much on the wedding day, you saw them on the pool day, or you saw them on the welcome event, or you had the chance to talk with them for lunch or for dinner. So, I mean, we're just trying to stretch out as much as possible the timing of your experience, for sure.
What about the cake? I mean, obviously cake is always on my brain. So like, where does the cake fit into most of your couples' experience? Like, how do you approach that conversation with them?
Okay. So to be honest, I'm sometimes a little sad that I mean, will have the wedding cake, but I don't think they give it the importance they should, especially in terms of timing. I don't know if you agree with me on this, but I feel that a lot of the times cutting the cake at the end of dinner it's an awful timing for the cake cutting. I mean, you're going to see it for 5 minutes. A lot of the times it's a cake that took a lot of effort and work put into it. The lighting is not good. The people are not well arranged. So it's something that I suggest a lot to our couples is do it at sunset, do it before entering for dinner, make it a moment. I feel that the ritual of cutting the cake is, again, like we were discussing, pauses and making time during the wedding. I feel the cake can be a forced pause exactly to just, you've had the ceremony. Right after the ceremony, you have everybody come and greet you, then cocktails start, music, all of that. And the cake before entering the dinner, for instance, or at the end of the ceremony, in the beginning of cocktail, it forces you to a pause. It forces you to, check where everything is, make a toast, connect with the couple, and then you can go back to your to the rest of the schedule of the day. So I do feel that there's still, unfortunately, in some cases, little importance given to the cake, although I feel that that's also changing. We're noticing more and more, at least on our ends. Like I was telling you, I focus a lot on food and drinks. So cake is also something we discuss a lot. And we're noticing that, yes, couples are giving it more value. They're valuing it more, doing something, again, tailor-made to them, designed for them with the taste that they love. So I think it's a process. And we're definitely getting more couples to just, follow our lead in terms of not leaving the cake till the end. Because I feel that in the end, again, in Portugal, the cake used to be the last thing served at weddings. So I remember when I was young, normally the cake cutting meant that the party was over.
Right.
And it's something we try to tell our couples more and more. Is like, don't use the cake is not the end. The cake can mark the beginning of a part of the celebration. The cake can mark a moment where you get to toast with a couple. So I think it needs a different emphasis for sure.
Yeah, I struggle a lot with that too, obviously. But I love when couples cut their cake earlier, especially because when there's natural light.
Yep.
Part of the struggle for me, especially because most of my cakes, all of my cakes, I want them to be seen throughout the evening. And if people want to cut them late in the evening, I want the cakes to be well positioned and well lit and, with some sort of
decor,
ambiance around it. And I think that's oftentimes where people don't value the extra that it might take to do that. I've endless weddings where they're like, oh, we forgot about the lighting, or we forgot a table linen, or we forgot this, we forgot that. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So now I go through that process. Like, do you have this? Do you have that? Are you sure you don't want to bring it up? Like
the cutlery, all of the details. Yeah.
Everything. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I have a lot of stories.
I agree.
It's not about me. It's about you. So,
no, but I agree. And I think the people that are starting to invest in the wedding cake, because, it's an investment. I mean, it's a lot of work. I think the couples that are investing in the wedding cake, they're paying more attention to that as well. And they also want to show it off more. And I feel it makes a huge difference, because otherwise, to be honest, if we were just discussing food, you would not serve cake at the end of a meal. If you were doing a fancy dinner at home, you would not serve cake as a dessert. So
that's true.
If you're going to do cake for the wedding cake, and if you're going to do that ritual, then you might as well do it at a point where it actually makes sense, and you're actually making a ritual out of it, and you're giving it the importance it deserves. So
Yeah. I was going to say something else about that. I don't know. Anyway.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I
cut your train of thought.
Yeah, it's okay. It happens. So I guess it's interesting for you perspective wise, like as a Portuguese woman who's grown up here, correct? Right? You grew up here? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
Yep, I did.
In your perspective, what do you think happened? Like, I would say like 3 or 4 years ago, what do you think happened that all of a sudden Portugal became like the amazing, most incredible place to come to have your wedding? Because I'm so excited about it. Like, I've been here for a long time, but as somebody who's from here, what do you think it was?
Well, I think it started longer ago than the 4 or 5 years you were mentioning. I think it started a while back. I remember probably 10 years ago having discussions with the tourism in Cascais about, how big this business of weddings was actually becoming, but they were completely they didn't really care. Wow. How long do we have? I mean, I think Portugal is a very small country. It's very easy to travel to. It's very central. One of the many reasons couples look for us in the beginning is because they had families spread out in the whole world. So this was the easiest meeting point. I mean, we have direct flights to nearly everywhere by a lot of companies. And then I think we can drive north to south in 6 hours, 7 hours, and east to west in 4. So I think for most Americans and Canadians, this would be like a family trip to go somewhere just 2 states near you. But I feel that there's so much variety from north to south. There's so many things that I feel we can easily cater to any taste. So if you're in the mood for country, for vineyards, you have a lot, and you don't just need to go to Douro. You have Alentejo as well. If you're in the mood for beaches, you have a lot of that too, but you don't just need to go to Algarve. You have the Alentejo coast as well. So there are a lot of beautiful options. We have really good weather all year round, so I think people understand that as well. We do have amazing food, cheeses, and wines. Sorry, I can't say this enough. But even with our traditional foods, I mean, they change north to south in a million ways. I mean, I have family in Alentejo, and I love traveling, always comparing things. But I think mostly it might have started off because we were seen as a cheap destination. So where you get a really good bang for your buck. I do feel that while prices have increased a lot over the last 2 years, and in some cases without a lot of explanation, to be honest, and you probably understand this as well as I do.
Yeah.
So while I feel that some prices have increased without a clear justification, I do still think you get a really good bang for your buck coming to Portugal.
Yeah.
I do feel that the overall experience you get, the cost quality relationship you get on all of the services you're hiring for the wedding is definitely an advantage on our end. And again, for me, like I was telling you, I love showing it off, and I love, again, I remember having Alentejo, I'll just say this, and my parents live in Alentejo, and my father is one of those people that goes to like this small producer of cheese lost somewhere in the middle of the road. And I said, look, you have to ask him if he can get me 100 of these cheeses because I suggested them for a wedding. So it's really fun that we're buying local stuff. We're not going to the supermarket. We're actually able to tell guests, hey, this is really special. There's a family that does this off the side of the road, and we're getting this for your wedding, and you're not going to get this anywhere else. So I think that's one of the parts that I find more charming about this is you're getting married in a place where you can be anywhere else in the world.
It's these one of a kind experiences. And I think a lot, I want to talk about inspiration. I think a lot of where I get my inspiration is from just all of the art and architecture and these amazing palaces and like private. I mean, we have a lot of amazing national historical venues that I think in any other part of the world you wouldn't be able to have a wedding or celebration at. And for me, that's huge inspiration. But I think that, we're just, again, we're so fortunate to be in a country where there is so much to inspire us. I don't know if you take your inspiration and your creativity from other things, obviously food. I mean, food is, I go away and I come back and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad to be back here and just to have like, good bacalhau or whatever it is. I don't know.
Yep.
But
I agree. There was a time where I thought like maybe I'm doing something wrong because I don't spend a lot of time shuffling through magazines and seeing, wedding tendencies for the year or the wedding colors of 2026. I never did that a lot, to be honest.
Yeah.
Of course, I do some scrolling on Instagram just because, I like to keep updated, but I don't think that's where I get most of the inspiration. I definitely get inspired by our couples, and I definitely get inspired by the things that they show that they like in the first approaches. So I definitely get excited. Imagine, we were telling before about how we plan destination weddings a little bit differently. I will have a really hard time telling a couple to go to a remote place in Portugal if I feel that there's nothing interesting besides the wedding venue. Because again, we focus a lot on the experience. So I want to make sure that when the guests arrive there the day before or when they leave the day after, they actually have something to do. They have a nice restaurant they can go to. They have somewhere, a hike they can do, something that's actually interesting. And I feel that's mostly the inspiration. Like, what am I going to suggest now to make sure that not only they get that beautiful venue that they chose and they have an amazing day, but to bring that little extra something that's going to remind them that it was Portugal and not anywhere else. So, the hidden gems, the small places you can take them, the small details you can actually bring to the table. I think that's what inspires us the most. That's what we're always looking for. Like, we found this lady up north that does handmade tiles a few years ago. So we had her design a landscape of Sintra that the couple adored for the tile. And I think that's a cute thing. I think I found her on Facebook. I don't think she even has a website, but the tiles were just incredible. So I think these are the things that truly inspire us. Like, how are we going to make it a little bit different? But how are we going to make it super, us as well? So the couple and also Portugal, how are we going to put it in the mix? And that's really fun.
That's so, I think that's so important too, because that also says a lot about the amount of importance that you place on making sure that you're a good match for the couple. Like if your inspiration is the couple and you feel like it's not a good fit, it's not in your interest to begin that journey with them. But if you hit it off, it's like any kind of relationship. But like, I think it's so important with these weddings that you see the vision that these people are trying to create, and that you have these, these connections and these means to help them create that vision and turn it into something real and memorable and unique. And the tile thing is so cool. Like we have so many, Portugal is full of things like that, like artisans. It's known for their artistry and their creativity and stuff. So,
and not all of them are
really
being
cool.
super well known. Yep, I agree. And like you were saying, I think you definitely have to be a good match. So I think I also share this with couples before we actually dive into them hiring us, which is you need to make sure you trust us because you're going to be stuck with me for a really long time. And you need to make sure that you like, this way of working, this speed, these ideas. Fortunately, in 16 years, I think only 2 or 3 times we actually came to a point where he said, look, I don't think I'm your match because we keep bumping into one another in things where we're not matching. And I'm not going to be able to give you what you want. I'm not going to be able to say, okay, go with that supplier where the food is not so good, because I feel that like I'm cringing already inside thinking it's just not going to work. So fortunately, it hasn't happened a lot. But I do love this feeling like the moment we start working together, it's like I'm planning a friend's wedding. I'm like, okay, how are we going to do this like super cool and special? So
it's so important. Yeah, we have to be there. I have I don't want to cut us off.
And I think wedding planners are not all alike, fortunately. No, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, okay. No, the connection cut out for a second. I wasn't sure, but yeah, I don't want to cut us off, but I do want to ask you some really quick questions, like one or 2 word answers. Don't think a lot about them. Okay.
Okay.
And if you don't have an answer, just tell me you don't have an answer. So first question is, what do you think is the most underrated wedding trend? Not that you say don't really follow the trends, but like something that should have more importance.
I would say the speeches. Not for you guys, but for us Portuguese, they're very underrated. People don't put enough effort into it.
Okay. Now this is tricky. Do you have a favorite venue?
Wow. Okay, this is very tricky. We have been working a lot up in Douro, which is, for me, it's been really fun because I've been wanting to do it for years and I hadn't done it in a while. So yes, I think for now between Douro and Alentejo, I'm kind of divided, but I think both are in my top. I'm happy to leave the city for a little bit.
Okay. Do you have a dream celebrity client?
No, I don't think so. I don't think I've ever thought of that.
Let's see. Would you pick cake or dessert bar?
Oh. This is a really tough call because I'm talking to you, but I was
gonna say there's no
dessert bar.
No
wrong answers. I would have to say dessert bar, definitely. I'm a sweet tooth.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Well, although if you ask me between a dessert bar and a snacks bar, like salty food and savory food, I would definitely go for the savory bar.
Okay. Well, that does say a lot too.
Yes, so like midnight snacks and things like that. They're more my
Okay. One word to describe your planning style.
Relaxed.
I like it.
It would definitely be relaxed.
Before we wrap up, do you have any advice or anything that you would like, if you had to give your couples one piece of advice as they're approaching their day, what would it be?
Well, normally I tell them that the only people who know the plan, it's us and them, and probably 10 vendors on the spot. No guests know the plan whatsoever. So if something doesn't go according to plan, just smile and wave, knowing that we're in the back keeping things moving. And no one's going to know if that wasn't the initial plan, because they're just going to feel like everything just fell into place. So I think the more they can relax about things that have to change at the last minute, that's why we're there. So that's the part that they can trust. So if anything needs to change, we're coordinating the 10 teams. So everybody knows that it's going to change. Story. It's going to be, we normally tell our couples that the day after it's going to be a really fun story to tell them. We don't tell them what went wrong on the day. We tell them afterwards, because by then it's already funny. So that would definitely be it. Don't overthink it. You've done your part. You've planned through the whole process. Now just enjoy the day, and whatever comes, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, because like you said, it all goes so quickly, You just have to sit back and enjoy. Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, I wanted to say thank you so much for sharing your
Thank you.
perspectives and your experience. I don't get enough time with you, and it's nice to have half an hour just to chat.
Finally, we made it.
Yeah, while the season's kind of quiet, and I'm looking forward to the summer season.
Thank you so much
I
for
hope
the
to see
opportunity.
more of you. You're welcome. If anybody is listening and is recently engaged or thinking about a wedding in Portugal, you should definitely check out Teresa's site. It's somethingborrowed.pt, right?
And a new
Yeah.
one will be coming in January. We're actually working on the new website, so hopefully
Ooh.
by the end of January we'll have we'll have a little
Okay.
rebranding done. So
by the time this goes live, you'll have your new site online. And we'll make sure to
eventually,
post it
let's
in
hope
the-
so. There's always
Yeah.
there's always wiggle room for delays, but definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the
Okay.
opportunity, Julie. This has been amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you too. Good to see you, and I hope to see you in person sometime soon.
Good to see you too.
Take
Yes,
care.
hope so.
Okay.
Bye. Take care. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye bye.